Hi everyone, good evening. So I'm here with you for the 10 weeks of Yuktahaar project, and today is Thursday, which means कि आज we are going to upload as usual the progress form because we are completing week 5. So we are actually literally quite halfway through the 10-week project now, and this form that we are uploading, this progress form, all you participants, you got to fill this up. एंड ये प्रोग्रेस फॉर्म कहाँ पे है? मेरे इंस्टाग्राम के जो प्रोफाइल पेज है उस पेज में जो बायो सेक्शन है जहाँ पे डिस्क्रिप्शन है मेरे बारे में, वहां पे आप ये लिंक देखेंगे. इट्स अ गूगल फॉर्म एंड यू कैन फिल इट अप. irrespective of what phase you are in, irrespective आप week 1 कर रहे हैं या week 2 कर रहे हैं, please fill up the form. If you are watching the live video, if you have read the book or are reading the book and are coming live or watching the video and following the basically 10 weeks of Yuktahaar program, doing the diet, then fill out this form irrespective of whichever phase or whichever week you are in. So again, this link is going to be in my story, in my Instagram story, and also in my profile page. So do fill it up, and then as usual, we are going to get in touch with you. If you have certain concerns, you can write about all the good things that are happening to you in the project. Give us a feedback so that we know how to carry forward this project ahead. And of course, from the progress form, I am then going to invite you over for our Saturday weekly chat that is going to happen day after tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to start with today's topic. Of course, one more reminder is about tomorrow's live. So tomorrow I am having an athletic coach. I have worked with him. He's a great coach. He trains people. He teaches people how to run. He trains a lot of these people for marathons in Mumbai. So we are having a live with him. His name is Melvin Crasto. And live tomorrow, please note the timing. It's at 4 p.m. not at 6 p.m. So ensure that you're there in the live so that you can ask whatever questions you have regarding running, marathons, or just just a normal run, even without a marathon. If you just like to run for recreation or as a part of cardio, then do get in touch, and we are going to have this live with him tomorrow. So today what I wanted to speak about is millets. Of course, I have done a bit of description of millets somewhere in one of the videos in the past, but I wanted to take up millets separately as a topic and talk about it elaborately. Millets is something that is very, very important in TVBD, in the Yuktahaar diet. And millets is something that I'm going to cover in 2 parts. So I'm going to do it today as well as on Sunday, because tomorrow we have live with Melvin Crasto. Saturday we have a chat. So the next part 2 will be done on Sunday. So I'm going to do millets in part 1 and part 2. And why I'm going to do it in part 1 and part 2 is simply because millets are categorized into 2 broad categories. One is the heating millets and cooling millets. तो एक है जिसमें हम millets को categorize करते हैं according to the nature, the guna of the millet, and which is heating millet and cooling millet. That is how we categorize them. And I'm going to talk about this category today. So I'm going to talk about heating millets and cooling millets today. And the other category which I'm going to cover on Sunday is millets that are categorized according to the production, according to the way they are produced. So millets जो हैं उनको again based on the agricultural process they go through, millets are categorized into naked or dehusked millets, basically जिनमें husk नहीं होता है, and the other one which is husked millets, the millets which have husk in them. So this is again 2 categories, and that is something that I'm going to cover on Sunday. Why it is important for you to know the agricultural process. मेरे तो प्लेट में ऐसे ही आ जाता है, तो मुझे क्या जरूरत है जानने का? You will know why you should know about these different categories. You will know how they affect your digestion. You will also know how you can cook them, because once you know how they are produced, you will also be able to know how you can cook them with ease. So all that part is something that I'm going to cover on Sunday. And today I'm going to talk about the other broad category, which is categorizing millets into heating millet and cooling millet. So again, people who have read the book Yuktahaar, the belly and brain diet, they know about this. I have given a complete table in chapter 5 on the millets which are categorized into heating, cooling, and then there's a neutral millet. but I'm just going to go and explain this because a lot of you are having millets right now. We are in phase 1, phase 2, and so many of you are eating millets, and I thought that it's a important discussion to have. So as you can see, we have certain cooling millets over here. All the names are there in the book. This kind of table is there in the book in chapter 5. And then we have heating millets, and then we have a millet which is also neutral, which is written over here. Heating millets में अगर हम पहले let's talk about heating millets first. So heating millets में आता है finger millet. What is finger millet? Finger millet is basically ragi, or you can call it nachni. So that is finger millet. It's a heating millet. Remember that. Then we have foxtail millet. Foxtail millet is kangni in Hindi. And then we have pearl millet, which is bajra in Hindi. And then we have barnyard millet, which is sama ke chawal. These are the Hindi names along with the English ones. And these are the heating millets that you can see behind me. Okay, now what are their regional names? What are their vernacular names? All of these millets have names in Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Bengali, all of even Gujarati, Marathi, they all have these own local regional names, and I'll suggest that you look for these names. It's easily available online. Also, a lot of people have been asking me since TBBD started that hum kaise ye millets le. Honestly, millets are so easily available all online. All you need to do is a bit of surfing, a bit of research. A lot of people who live outside India have asked me कि अरे these are not available, these are easily available in India. India वालों को लगता है कि इंडिया में चीजें नहीं मिलती, बाहर वालों को लगता है कि बाहर चीजें नहीं मिलती. But as a matter of fact, दोनों जगह चीजें मिलती हैं. All you need is a little bit of an effort to look around, see around, and you will have these things. So these are the names of the heating millet. Now, why it is important we know that what are these heating millets is, for example, say ragi. Now, I have met so many of my clients who, because they obviously millets are like in trend. People know millets is something that people are becoming more and more aware about. Let's say in that way. So I meet a lot of people who are having this ragi or nachni or finger millet, whatever you call it, but they're having this in a bhakri, like a roti form, and they're having this in peak April-May season as well, simply because they're unaware that ragi is something that is heating for the body. And then they, get into other troubles, and then, during the consultations when I point out that this is not something that you should be having in the month of April or May, then, we stop that, and then, they see that the other symptoms which they were having, they all, they start fading away. So the thing is that, we are, kind of eating millets, but the unfortunate part is that we are not still aware कि उसको खाने का सही तरीका क्या है, and that is exactly why I am here today. Because even when it comes to bajra, which is pearl millet, I see a lot of people eating bajra very randomly at any month of the year. So again, bajra can be heating and cooling both. As you see, pearl millet is bajra, and I have put pearl millet in cooling also and in heating also. And it can be cooling and heating both depending on what variety you're using. Having said that, please know that if these millets are therapeutic, these millets are good, you also need to eat them in the right manner and just not have them because they are in trend, or because they are gluten free, or because they are fibrous, or because they have antioxidants and low GI and whatever it is. Of course, they are all of these good things, but you can make use of these good things only when you eat them in the right manner. So when we come to heating millets, as I said, I'm going to discuss heating millets first. Of course, the name suggests that they are heating millets, which means that they will help in keeping our body warm, which of course means कि आप इनको winters में खा सकते हैं. So that is something which is pretty straightforward, I believe, that these are the millets that you can have in the winter season. These also are the millets these also are the millets that you can have whenever the surrounding temperature, the weather that you are living is cooler. Why I say that is because we are having very random weather these days. Call it climate change, call it whatever you want, but there are many surprises these days when even on a December you don't get pretty cold out there, whereas say in a March or April it's pretty cold or at times raining. So we have very variable weathers these days. So I will say that go for heating millets whenever the weather around you, wherever you live, it is cooler or colder. So that is pretty straightforward. But can we make use of these millets only when there is cold around, or when the weather is cool around? Is it that we cannot have them at all when there is there's heat outside, or whenever there's summers, or any of these weather conditions? Is it that we cannot eat them? Of course we can eat them. You got to combine them with certain cooling agents in that case. So जब भी आपको heating millets को एक समर के मंथ में खाना है, या कभी भी ऐसे वेदर में खाना है जब उतना ज्यादा बाहर ठंड नहीं है, so how do you eat them? You simply eat them by combining them with other cooling agents. Like I said in the horse gram video yesterday, because horse gram, which is kulthi or kulit, that itself is a heating lentil. So in the same manner, like I said, like if you really want to make use of horse gram in summer months, you got to combine them with certain cooling agents. In the same way, if you want to eat your, say for example, a ragi bhakri or a ragi roti, or some people know it by the name of nachni. So a nachni bhakri, if you want to have it in the month of April, for example, then ensure that you are having buttermilk along with your lunch, for example. So there's ragi roti, there's sabzi dal, of course, and there's a glass of buttermilk, because then buttermilk acts as a cooling agent. So then what happens is, of course, it doesn't mean that ragi is going to cool your body now because the buttermilk is there, but what will happen is that the heating effect of ragi gets neutralized because you combined it with something that has a cooling effect in the body, and therefore it's not going to harm you. So what are these other cooling agents that we can make use of? Green gram, which is moong, or even the yellow moong dal, that is a cooling agent. Ghee is a wonderful cooling agent. So ensure that you have proper amount of ghee. Don't be scared of ghee, and don't put like little amount, especially when you're eating these kind of heating millets in hot summer. Then the ghee should be there in good amount. Coconut is a very good cooling agent. Milk is a very good cooling agent again, but milk is something that we are going to introduce in phase 3 once we step into week 9. So then onwards, of course, anything combining with milk. So if say you're making a ragi porridge, for example, for breakfast, for example, in a summer month, then you can put a good amount of milk along with your ragi flour when you make a porridge, and then you will see that it's something that is really going to suit you, and it's not something that is going to be harmful. So buttermilk in phase 2, of course, we are having. So you can use buttermilk right now. You can use green gram, which is moong dal, or even green moong, coconut, ghee, milk. These are all the cooling agents which you can combine your heating millets with during the recipe, while making them, or even while eating them. You can eat in combinations such that the heat of this gets neutralized. What are the other ways of combination? Of course, you can even combine heating and cooling millets together. Now, this is not something that I really go out and promote, because I really believe that millets should be had only one millet at a time. We have a lot of these multi-millet flours available these days, a lot of multi-millet mixes, a lot of multi-millet products are online also available. So I'll say that please don't go ahead and buy them. If at all you really want to go ahead and mix 2 millets together, which I will say do not do on a regular basis, but occasionally if you really want to go ahead and do it, then I'll say that ensure that you mix a heating millet with a cooling millet. Do not mix 2 heating millets together. Do not mix 2 cooling millets together. So that is something again that you should bear in mind. What is the other way of combinations with heating millet? The other way of combination is not combination, but the other way of neutralizing the heat of the heating millet is by other processes, which is sprouting and fermentation. So it is not always कि आप heating millet को किसी के साथ combine करो तभी उसका heat neutralize होगा, but even if you sprout the millet, उसका heat कम हो जाता है. For example, again I will take ragi as an example, which is a heating millet. But if you go anywhere in the south, especially in Tamil Nadu, you will see a lot of these young mothers, they sprout the ragi grain, and then वो sprouted ragi में से they take out the ragi milk, and that is the milk that they actually feed their infants all throughout the year. So you will not see them, they probably do not even know why they do it, but this is the ancient practice, this is a traditional practice. The beauty of it is that these traditional practices are in place for certain very, very good reasons. And the reason is this, that ragi is heating and you cannot use them throughout the year until and unless you do practices like this, which will neutralize its heating effect, and sprouting is one of them. So whenever you will see these young mothers, especially from Tamil region, you will see that they are sprouting the ragi grain and then they are taking out the milk of the ragi and feeding that ragi milk to the infants all throughout the year. The other process, as I said, is fermentation. Fermentation is again a process that neutralizes the heat of any of the heating grain or heating lentil for that matter. For example, even horse gram, which I spoke about yesterday, which is not a millet, it's a lentil, but I'm bringing that into discussion because horse gram is also a heating lentil. But any of these, like if you see, like even a bajra for example, these are mixed with buttermilk and then they are made into a rabdi in places like North India. So if you go up to say Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, you will see that they make this bajra rabdi, jowar rabdi. And how do they make it is simply they take bajra, which is a heating millet, they mix it with buttermilk, so that combination apne aap mein neutralize kar deta hai uske heating effect ko. And then they go a step further and they ferment it overnight, or they ferment it for say 6 hours, 7 hours. और वो fermentation process के कारण again the drink becomes even more cooling in nature. So much so that a bajra rabdi is actually used in summer season, and peak summers of North India, like peak summers of Rajasthan, is where they use this drink, because bajra ka jo effect hai, heating effect, because of combination with buttermilk and because of fermentation, neutralize ho chuka hota hai, and it actually turns even more cooling. The same bajra rabdi is, there's a different name to it, but the process, the recipe, everything is same. They say it in a different name in Tamil Nadu, I think some Kolu or something with K, I'm forgetting the name, but they do it in Tamil Nadu as well. Again, we know that Tamil Nadu also experiences quite hot summers, and they prepare the same drink with, combining bajra with buttermilk and fermenting it, and they, you can even find it on, roadsides and stalls where they, sell it during the peak hot afternoons. So this is the, beauty of using ancient practices, that, these are certain practices in place, and when you follow trends, but not when you follow trends, you may miss out on these traditional practices. But if you go by the traditional recipes, you will always, kind of eat right without causing any harm to yourself. So this was one thing. Again, about bajra, I will say the pearl millet is available in 2 varieties. So I'm talking about bajra. So the pearl millet, so somebody has said, yeah, it is Kolu. So thank you so much. So the drink in Tamil Nadu that I just spoke about, the name is Kolu, and somebody has just confirmed this. So thank you. So now bajra again, which is pearl millet, comes in 2 varieties. There is a desi variety which is very small in size, like much smaller, and then there is the other one which is more commercial and which is more prevalent everywhere. So until and unless you really are buying from a farmer or you're buying from a very small scale store, you will know that it's the larger variety that you're buying, the commercial variety, larger in the sense bigger in size. So the one which is bigger in size, the commercial one, that is heating, and that is why the pearl millet, I put it in the heating category. And then there is the desi variety, which is the native one, which is smaller in size, which is actually cooling. So if you go to the interiors of Rajasthan and stuff, you will find these smaller ones, and there they still use it in the summer season, because as we know, the summers out there are pretty much pretty high and pretty extreme, and that is where they use these bajra for actually in summer season. So depending on the variety you're buying, bajra can be heating and cooling both. The bigger and the more prevalent, the commercial one, is heating, and the smaller desi one is cooling. So that was about bajra. And now we come to the cooling millets. The cooling millets are, again, as I explained, pearl millet, which I just explained about right now, and then the little millet and proso millet. Now, little millet is called kutki in Hindi, and proso millet is called barre in Hindi. Again, you can find out their regional names. They are available in all the regions of India. So you can find out आपके यहाँ पे उसको क्या बोलते हैं. You can find out, you can figure that out, and you can buy. Again, from where you will buy them everywhere. These are available, as I said, everywhere. If not at all, then please go ahead and look for it online, and they're pretty much available. Why is it that we know about bajra, which is pearl millet, we know about ragi, nachni, which is finger millet, we know about jowar, which is sorghum, but we don't often quite hear about foxtail millet or a little millet or a proso millet or even a barnyard millet. Why is it that we don't know about these? A lot of participants in TBBD have said that, we never heard about these millets, we never knew about them. So why is it that, these three are pretty much known? So I'll take that on Sunday, because as I said, you can categorize millets according to how they are produced into two other categories, and that is the part that I'm going to cover on Sunday. And that is exactly why you will know that why certain millets are more popular than the other. But just to speak about a little on this topic, it's just that the jawar, bajra and ragi, which is sorghum, finger millet and pearl millet, these three are called major millets, not because that they are better in nutrition or they are healthier or any such thing, but they are simply more popular, as I said, yes, and they are known as major millets, while the other ones have not been given that recognition. And why is it so? That is something I'm going to discuss on Sunday. But these cooling millets, as I said, again, as the name suggests, these are cooling millets, so obviously आप इसको summer season में खा सकते हैं. Summer is the time for them to shine, and you should be having more of these cooling millets. Can you have them during the cold weather? That is the question now. So again, if you are living in a place like Bombay, where I stay, हमारे यहाँ पे इतनी ज़्यादा ठंड नहीं होती है, so quite literally these millets is something that I have them even during December, for example, in Bombay, because it's not a cold that is quite severe out here. So again, there is no general classification here. You have to go according to the kind of weather where you live. If you live somewhere up in the north of India, suppose say Uttarakhand or somewhere in the mountains, then of course you will not have them in the cold. It's pretty obvious, because they're going to cool down your body temperature even more. So depending on where you live, check the weather conditions and then make these choices. What are the different things that you can make with them, all the recipes and stuff? Actually, honestly, it's quite there in the book. But I'm going to take them, as I said, depending on how they are processed and produced. I'm going to speak on that on Sunday, and you will be able to understand why certain recipes are made in a certain way. So the cooling millets, keep them for places, keep them for weather conditions when it's cool, when it's warm, when it's not very cold. Heating millets, as I explained, you can have them in the way. And also I wanted to speak a little about the personal profile of certain people. Now they, like I explained in the horse gram part yesterday. So the horse gram, which is a lentil, but it's a heating lentil. So what happens now, for certain people, they already have, like, what they call in Ayurveda, like a pitta dosha. Pitta dosha is like something which means that there's already some extra heat in the body. Irrespective it's summer, winter, monsoon, whatever, irrespective of the weather conditions outside, Pitta dosha people mean people with, say, acidity, people with ulcers, people who get mouth ulcers easily, people who get heat boils, face, body, shoulders, arms, wherever, people with piles, people with redness maybe in the eyes, people generally who also quite maybe just feel hot, like a heat sensation in the body, women with heavy prolonged and periods which come very frequently. So these are all signs and symptoms of some extra heat in the body. And that we, in Ayurveda language, we know them as people with Pitta dosha. So when you are, suppose for example, these category of people, irrespective whether it's summer, winter, monsoon, they should be very careful when they eat these heating millets. They should more or less focus on the cooling millets. But as I said, it's not that कि heating millet उनको खाना ही नहीं है और आप खा ही नहीं सकते हैं. What they should do is definitely not have these heating millets in peak summer season. So wherever you live, again the peak summer keeps changing from place to place. It could be April for one state in India, it could be June for some other place in the world. So depending on wherever you live. But अगर आप जहाँ पे रहते हैं वहाँ पे जब भी बहुत ज़्यादा गर्मी है, hot afternoons, peak summer months, that is the time when you should completely avoid heating millets. You forget about combining it with cooling agents and stuff. You just need to avoid the heating millets altogether. In the months when there is thand, when there is sardi, when the weather outside is cooler, in those months, only I'm speaking about these category of people. In these months, yes, you can have these heating millets, but in these months also you should have these heating millets only when you have combined them with the cooling agents that I mentioned just when I started my live today. So keep that in mind. If you fall into this category of pitta dosha or some extra heat in the body, then you have to avoid these heating millets, or even the horse gram that I told you yesterday about. You have to avoid them in the hot afternoons, peak summer months, and you can have them of course in the winters, but combine them with specific cooling agents or make them undergo processes like fermentation, sprouting, and then of course then you can have them very safely. So this was from me today for millets, and I'm going to continue another part of millets on Sunday, as I explained, where I'm going to speak about the other broad category of millets, which is about categorizing millets not into heating and cooling, but dividing them into husked grains and naked grains, which is based on how they are produced, based on the agricultural methods they undergo. And when you come to know about this, you will be able to understand how you can alter your more popular recipes like a biryani, pulao, all of mudde in South India, for example, or a payasam. So basically all the recipes which you usually use either with rice or wheat, how you can alter them, which millet you will choose for which recipe, all of these things will become much clearer when I cover the topic, the part 2 on Sunday. So do we have any questions?
Is pearl millet a heating millet?
So yeah, pearl millet, as I explained, as I've put, it's heating and cooling both. So pearl millet heating bhi hota hai, cooling bhi hota hai. It depends on the variety. The bigger ones, which is the more commercial one, is a heating one, yes. The desi one, which is smaller in size, that is a cooling one. So depending on what you are eating, what you're choosing, it can be both heating and cooling.
Can dal rice be eaten for dinner at times in place of khichdi?
Yes, of course, you can have dal rice for dinner in place of khichdi. Of course, khichdi is something which is the best, but of course you can have variety and you can change around.
Can we drink coffee made with coconut milk in phase 2?
Can we have coffee made with coconut milk?
Yes.
Yes, you can have coffee with any nut milk. You can use coffee with almond milk, with coconut milk, with cashew milk, with any nut milk. You can have coffee in phase 2. The only thing here is that ensure that you use these milks, the milks that you're using to put in your coffee, smoothie, whatever you are doing. Ensure that these are homemade, because then we will know it's good quality, because most of these nut milks that you buy directly from the market, they have a lot of these preservatives, they have these chemicals. A lot of these chemicals have been known as carcinogenic, which means they can cause cancer. So they actually you can call them categorize them into the Nova ultra processed food. So make the homemade one and then have it.
What is the best time to take glutamine? If suggested to take after dinner, how much time gap needed after trikatu?
Okay, so trikatu is something that you need to have after dinner. So if you want to have glutamine after dinner as well, I will say that it's better you have it post lunch, because then you separate them. You are having glutamine after lunch and trikatu after dinner. But for any practical logistical reasons, if you want to have both of them together, then I'll say that L-glutamine is something that you will have immediately after the dinner. L-glutamine is something, because it's a drink, right? You put 5 grams L-glutamine powder in a glass of water and you have it. So L-glutamine is something, in that case, you can have it along with your dinner as well. Just ensure that the water that you're mixing is not chilled or cold, just room temperature water. So then you can have L-glutamine along with your dinner as well, so that once you finish your dinner, you can have trikatu just 5-7 minutes after. If that doesn't suit you, or you find it, no, I don't like it like that, then what you can do is first have L-glutamine as soon as you finish your dinner, and then after a gap of say 10-15 minutes, you can have trikatu.
What is glutamine and what is the use of it?
So for that you will have to read my book, Yuktahaar, The Belly and Brain Diet, and I will take this chance to just show off my book. So this is the book. In phase 2, you can read about L-glutamine. L-glutamine is actually amino acid, and like it's one of those very important amino acid which there are times when we cannot get enough of it from our diet, and there are times that we need to kind of take a supplement. So it really depends. It's not a mandatory supplement at all in TBBD. Uses इनके बहुत सारे हैं. It's used in post-workout recovery. So if you're a person who is really working out very hard, then yes, L-glutamine would be important for you. If you're a person with, say, a weak immunity or trying to strengthen your immunity, then again, L-glutamine works beautifully for those people. It also works very well for people with, say, a lot of gut issues, like people with, say, migraines, people with a lot of acidity, people with a lot of these allergies, intolerances in food. So any kind of digestive related problems, L-glutamine works very well for those people as well. So for recovery, fatigue, immunity, muscle recovery, all of those things, L-glutamine is very, very useful. The dosage and the time and everything is explained in chapter 6 in my book. It is in phase 2 because that is when it's the best to take, in phase 2. But again, as I said, it's not mandatory to take them in phase 2.
I have started late. Should I join in phase 2 or start afresh?
No, please start from phase 1. You got to start from phase 1 because phase 1 is a very, very important phase because it cleanses your body, it prepares your body for phase 2. So I will really tell everyone that please do not jump on phase 2 directly. For any reasons, if you want to get into phase 2 fast, I will say do phase 1. चाहे आप उसको short करके 1 week कर दो. Although I'll suggest that phase 2 is such a beautiful phase, many of the participants have actually prolonged it to 4 weeks voluntarily because it's actually such a phase that will really leave you feeling light and nice. Having said that, depending on your comfort and convenience, you might shorten it up, though it's not something that I'll go out and promote, but you might shorten it up, but do not skip it. आप phase 1 से ही शुरू करो. All my videos, okay, this is something that I was, I felt the need to announce. All the videos which are, from the day 1 of the project, all the videos are in a series, and that series is called 10 Weeks of Yuktahaar. It's right there on Instagram. So when I post this video, right now this video that I am in, I'm going to post this on my page, and when you see that video on the top, you will see a tag called 10 Weeks of Yuktahaar. When you click on that, the entire series will come where all the videos are there in one place. The other option is going to the highlights of my page. What is highlights? Highlights is a circle thing which is on the profile page. And on the highlights, you will see there's a name title 10 Weeks Project. If you click on that highlights, again, you will see all the videos out there. So people who are new, please start with phase 1. Start by reading the book. Simultaneously go back and watch all my videos. And you can fill up the forms. The form, as I said, I have already uploaded today. So you can fill up these forms irrespective of the phase you are in, irrespective of week 1 में है या 5 में है या week 4 में है. Go out and fill these forms. These forms will actually connect me to you. I will know you by your names. I will know the concerns you have. A lot of benefits people have seen, people who are filling the form. So I'll suggest that if you are doing the phases, if you are doing the 10-week diet at your home, reading the book, go ahead, check the videos जो highlights में है या ये 10 weeks की series में है, and simultaneously start filling the forms. The forms we upload every Thursday, so please make use of it. We are done, right?
One last question. Have you trained Taapsee Pannu?
I have trained Taapsee Pannu, and I have been working for the last, I think, 4 years now. So yes, we work very closely, and she's one of my, very popular clients. Of course, everybody knows her, but she's one of my very loved clients, and she's someone who I just enjoy working with truly. So yes, I do work with her. Okay, thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow for the live with Melvin Crasto. As I said, he's an athletic coach. I have worked with him. I even go out running with him at times when I just feel like. More about him tomorrow. I'll not take more of your time, but do join us. The live tomorrow is at 4 p.m, not at 6 p.m. So, mark the time and be with us. Ask your questions about marathon, about running, about any kind of cardio, injuries, nutrition on running, whatever you want. So be there, listen to us. Any questions, you can still go out there on comments and save it for us, and we'll take these questions tomorrow. Thank you so much.